Welcome, everyone. It is Nana the Navigator, joined with Mrs. Daemon Targaryen for another week of the House of Dragon discussions, I guess. Can Mrs. Daemon Targaryen, how are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm good. Yesterday was a very emotional episode, I think is probably
Mm-hmm.
fair to say.
Yes, it was.
Um, you guys, we're not doing you're not seeing our faces today, but you are seeing our alter egos. So I am Bela, forever and always. If you read the book, you know what I mean. And then we have the Mrs. Daemon Targaryen as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a lot of obviously there's a lot in this particular episode, and I think that they were probably leading us there, from specifically probably the way episode 3 ended, and how I think a lot of people did say that the last episode was kind of slow, but
Okay.
they were definitely setting us up for this kind of jam-packed, I guess, experience. So again, we may or may not go in order of what was first seen, but I do want us to kind of cover some really important topics. And I want to start first. Hold on, you guys. I'm trying something new. So bear with me. Oh, where is it? Okay. And so in this scene, and I wanted to kind of start off here, was kind of the interactions between Alan and um, Rhaenys.
Mm-hmm.
So I think here is it's just an equation that I came up with that I'm pretty sure some people might have felt, and some others, maybe this was new to them, but I was thinking like Sea Snake plus X equals Allen. And
Yeah.
so what does that look like? Kind of what were your thoughts on there? Do you think this particular scene confirmed that? Or what do you think is behind Alan and his relationship, if any, with the Valerians?
I definitely watching that scene thought like, oh, okay. Like when she touched his face and she said how his mother must have been beautiful. It just put two and two, one and one together, and it made me think like, okay, this must be his child. Also, when it panned to Corliss
Mhm.
walking up to the the two of them, and you kind of saw Corliss like walk up beside Alan, it's like, okay, you can kind of see it, like this is one of his kids, one of his bastards. And um I think also that was pretty much a given when when Alan left, and Rhaenys literally just said it. Like she said, I know who he is. Like
Right.
I
Why
know
didn't
who
you tell me he was the one that took you from
Yes,
to see? Yeah.
I know who he is. Like that statement alone kind of says something, and it tells the audience, me and looking from the audience, like, okay, this is his kid.
Hmm.
And I guess it was probably supposed to be kind of like a secret.
Hmm.
um but Auntie Ray Ray pretty much let us know, like, you can't keep no secrets from me. And I think that was just like a good move, and I like the fact that she was not bitter and she was still trying to look out for him, basically, like, you trying to hide him, but he saved your life, you should be like giving him a promotion instead of trying to like hide him in the back.
I
because
agree.
because it's about, that just shows you that it was about um more than like he's just somebody who saved your life. There's something else to it, because like anybody else you would have been putting out into the forefront, because this person saved your life. So it just let us know there's more to this. This person, this young man is tied to the Valerians. So that's what I thought.
No, agreed. And so I think this is one it's going to be a spoiler, but it's not a spoiler. So if you're listening, stop for like a minute. But in the books, it is not confirmed that Alan is his son. I think the way it is framed is that that's what people are thinking, who they're thinking Alan is. But I believe the way it's framed is that Corlys says it's like potentially his grandson.
Okay.
So potentially this could be Laenor's child, which I don't know. That might be the truth. I don't know, but I'm like the way the book was kind of the book gave I think two different possibilities, but I think it was leaning towards Alan being his like hidden son, which I don't really understand why he would hide his son. I don't understand. I mean, I know that okay, if you're not a product of marriage, right, a child that's a product
Mhm.
of marriage, you are looked down upon for the most part. But I don't know. I was just a bit confused about that. I'm like, if he's your son, why not like bring him into the fold?
I mean, because of course he's not going to show, because he doesn't want his wife to find out. If what we're seeing on the show is the representation of their relationship, they seem to have, out of the whole Game of Thrones, like uh series, and the spinoffs, like they look like they're like one of the best couples out of all of the all of the books and everything. Like, they seem to have a very big bond. And I
But
can
you know what? I hated that. I hated that. And I know it is what it is, and these were the times, and this is a fantasy, whatever. But I really hate that the couple that people like the most and see that they actually have true love actually had to have some sort of infidelity be a part of their
Mhm.
relationship.
But it's the sign of the times though too,
Yeah.
man. Like, that during those times, and I mean up until, I mean still to this day,
Yeah.
like, in more so in that world, that's what is done. Like, this man is gone the majority of the time. And it's almost like, I think that's why Rhaenys was just like, you expecting me to believe you thought you could keep this from me.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, she literally said it, like, I'm not stupid. Like, you were going all those years, all that time, and I think that you just were faithful. Like, that's just, I guess, par for the course. Being a man back in that time and being a wife back in that time is that you had to accept the fact that those things happen. This is the time outside of, like, if I hate to say it like this, but if it wasn't for like birth control and all these different forms of birth control, I mean, just imagine how many kids would be. This is during a time when there isn't like any kind of, like, other than the moon tea, there isn't anything kind of like to assist the small folk if they get married. I mean, not married, but if they get pregnant with an unwanted child. So you had a lot of these things going on where you had a lot of the illegitimate children, um,
And
because you
even
didn't have contraception, and
right.
men are going to be men. So that's just a part of the time. So it's to
And
be
I, and
expected.
I think it's so interesting that you really did dovetail beautifully into what I was going to show next.
What?
But it is Alicent and the Mood Tea. This scene was so funny to me. This scene was so funny to me, and it was made even more funny, I think, when Lara Strong walked in and she's talking about she wasn't feeling well, and he looks down and he sees what she's been sipping on.
Uh-huh.
But
Sipping on that tea.
yeah, I was really, I mean, I don't think at this point Allison can um disappoint me anymore. Um, so I'm just like, girl, you are Rhaenyra. Like, you've become, and I feel like this is a common theme, not just in like these TV shows, but in life. Like, you become what you hate the most. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you hated on this girl. You sicked your children on her children. You fed their minds with just bad things about their half
Their
sister and her
sister.
children, and you are putting yourself in a position. we're only one bad decision from being, you know, I was gonna say locked up, but that's not right. But you know what I mean? We're just one bad decision away from becoming what it is that we hate the most. I don't know.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. And also the exchange that she had with the maester and him being honest. And it's almost like you still trying to grasp at straws. You really think that your son is not equipped, was never equipped to be king. You know that, like your dad knew that. And it's almost like you still trying to ask people, Alicent, do you think that the series, did he ever say anything about Aegon being king? And the guy was like, no, he never mentioned it, because he never intended for this to be. And the fact that she trying to make it seem like the moon tea is for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, girl,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's like she's gone off the hinges. That's what it seemed like. This episode, she was just like,
Well, I think it's also guilt, right? I think it's like she had really thought that Viserys said these words, and now Rhaenyra has planted rightfully the seed of doubt to let her know that what you thought you heard is incorrect. So I think I still stand by that. I don't think that there is anything Alicent could have done to stop the war. I think that there's too much history behind them, because even her own kids, Aemond's like, I think you mentioned this to me. I don't know if you said it online, but you said that Aemond, basically, you remember he said his mom usurped, she's a usurper. She usurped the throne from Rhaenyra.
He did.
So if you're calling your mother a usurper, right? And I even remember, and I'm like, everyone keeps, I was looking on social media and people were like, Alicent could have stopped it. She could have stopped it. And I'm like, I don't think the point of that scene was to show that Alicent could have stopped it. I think the point of the scene was to show the guilt that Alicent is going to be wrought with, knowing that her husband did not say those words to her and that she misinterpreted it.
Yeah.
I don't want to say she started the war. She definitely fueled it, right?
She fueled it. She was the fuel behind it.
Definitely. But I'm like, the day they found out Viserys, passed, what did they say? No one's to leave this room. They had already been making plans to make Aegon king. And I still stand by the fact that regardless of whether or not Alicent was for or against, I think that Aegon still would have been king. That was just their way, in my opinion, of reverse engineering a story so that they feel good about it, and maybe not even them, that other people feel good about it, about having Aegon. Because I kept wondering, like, if had Alicent not told them that this is what Viserys said, what is the story that would have been told to the masses, to the people of King's Landing, to the lords and ladies all over Westeros, to have them back his claim?
I think they wouldn't have needed it, because did they even say anything when they were all in the Great Hall before Meleys bust through the floor? They didn't make any grand declarations of this is what Viserys said. Aegon just stood in front of those people and drunk his beer, right, and lifted his sword in the air, like Aegon the Conqueror's sword in the air, and the people just like started cheering. At first they weren't, but eventually they started cheering, right?
No. Otto did make the proclamation saying that Aegon is going to be king, and it was at his final breath, King Viserys changed his mind, or whatever he said. Basically said,
"Oh, see, I didn't remember that."
So yeah, they told the masses that, and I'm like, I think it would have been hard, obviously, right, to convince everyone that a woman should be on the throne. But I'm like, yeah, by you saying, "Oh, well, we got the king's blessing."
Yeah, it kind of helped it along. Right.
But I honestly don't even know if they believe it. And that's why I'm like, well, again, what would have the story been to the people to so that they back Aegon's claim? And
I think it just would have been split. It just would have been split like it is now, still to right now, it's still split. It would have been split. Like they did it by force. They usurped the throne. The whole point of usurping the throne is kind of taking something by force. And if just as Christian Cole was doing out in the field, if you don't show fealty to us, we're gonna kill you. That's usurping the throne. Like you're killing people who don't want to go with what you want. You're
But see,
taking it by force.
but how much does that work?
That was
Because well, because I'm thinking, right? How does that work? Because I'm thinking back to season 1 of Game of Thrones, where you have Ned Stark as Hand of the King. If you guys haven't watched Game of Thrones, you might want to stop listening for 2 minutes. But anyways, yes, season 1 Game of Thrones, where Ned Stark became the Hand, and he's saying what he's saying about Joffrey being I can say this. Let me clean it up. He's an illegitimate child and therefore is not the heir to the throne. People obviously said that what he's saying is treason, right? And then they beheaded him. And it's even so, you behead someone and now you are causing a war with the Starks because you beheaded the leader of the North. So I'm like, and then you're causing war. So I'm like, you can only behead so many people before you cause a war with them.
right.
And that's going to be a losing strategy, in my opinion.
But that's what ended up happening anyway, though, Nana.
In Game of Thrones,
it was going to create a war either way it went. They knew what was going to happen.
Right. But I'm like, I mean, specifically with the Starks, when they beheaded Ned Stark, all of the North got together, right? Because you beheaded our leader. And now, we're after you. The North is coming after you. We're marching south. Right. And I feel like if they didn't, right, which everyone says, Joffrey was stupid for doing that, including Cersei. Everyone admits to that. So my thing is that I don't believe you can go and excuse me, I need to stop saying that. And I'm going to say, give someone an honorable goodbye.
Take off their head.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So take off their head. Like you can't do that to all of the lords and ladies of wealthy, influential houses and think they're not going to go to war. So I'm just saying, if everyone said that Aegon was a usurper, you can't make everyone bend the knee, because then you're going to be surrounded by enemies. But the thing
is be at war. But the thing is, they have a council. They had enough. They felt like they had enough people on their side to usurp the throne.
And I guess the other thing that they had differently too now is dragons.
They have dragons. They have enough people in the case of getting back to House of Dragon. They have enough people at their council. They have the strong kind of like misogyny of like not wanting a woman to be on the Iron Throne, and so they feel like they have enough backing to, like, even if Alicent never came in with her, the king said he wanted Aegon to be his heir or whatever, they still would have usurped the throne. And they would have, like, they had the Lannisters. They had.
And I did read the book, but I'm going to be honest. Like, I read the book, but it's not like I was like reading the book like it was, I'm studying. I'm reading the book.
Yeah, right.
The book. Right. So I don't even think enough houses were backing Rhaenyra.
There weren't. There weren't. I mean, look at what happened even with the Baratheons, and those were like the kin. What do they call them? The kinfolk, or not kinfolk, but like they have ties to the Baratheons. Like they share familial ties.
Right. And I was also just remembering from the book, and also I think, again, seeing this in social media, but Rhaenys' mother was a Baratheon.
I saw that. Yep.
They could have sent her.
Yep.
Instead of little Luke. But I guess we can always play the what ifs, whatever. But
a lot of things could have been done differently. But like you said, like Rhaenyra really didn't have a a lot of people, and still right now doesn't have a lot of people. I do want to say, and I know we haven't gotten there yet. We're we're talking about Alicent or whatever, but if we're moving forward, like I will say, I have to give it to the Greens. They have a better strategy. Like when when they were in the small council, and Aegon was having his little fit, temper tantrum, and all that, because he realized that Aemond and Sir Kristen had already been kind of like planning and plotting without him. When Aemond went to the board, the big board, and like was talking about the strategy, that was a genius strategy in my opinion. Like they said, like, Aegon was so focused on Harrenhal, but what Aemon said, I don't know if you caught it, but he was like, let Daemon lose his mind. He like, because he's even knowing that what's at Harrenhal. He knows that like that's not a place. It's vacant. It's there's nothing there.
Right.
And so let him focus there, while we're literally just like trotting through these small town and picking up an army. Like that was genius to me. Like you can, say what you will, but like while Rhaenyra was like, missing in action, and Bela and Jace were sitting up at the council meeting, going back and forth with these guys, like the Greens were literally plotting, and it was a good plan. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on their team, but I will say they were doing more. They were being more effective than Daemon was, and anybody on Rhaenyra's side, because she doesn't really have anybody going out and scouting and trying to get people to her side. Like, who does she really have? And I'm only mentioning all of this because of you mentioning that like Rhaenyra doesn't have a lot of people on her side.
Right.
She didn't, and like the Greens are getting people to their side, and it's like,
I feel like I'm going to say this and it's not going to make sense. So I think I have to explain it. But I think the problem with the Black Council is that they think about the forest and not the trees. And what I mean by that is continuously them pushing for Rhaenyra to use her dragons, right? That's one. Yeah, that could end everything, but you're not also seeing how that could affect everything. And I think what's his name, Crispy, was seeing how, okay, yeah, you guys want to put dragons into play, but you're not really seeing how dragons turn everything into ash and bone. And so that was the one thing that my criticism of the Black Council. The other criticism is I do sometimes think, conversely, they are looking at the forest and not the trees. And what do I mean by that is, looking at the trees and not the forest is like, you're looking at Harrenhal and you think Harrenhal is going to be the end all be all for everything, but the detail isn't there. So maybe it still is like looking at the forest and not the trees. That's their problem. They're not good with detail.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is, I'm going to say this, Daemon is really disappointing me.
They don't have a strategy, and the Greens seem to, at least, even if it's not the best, but I mean, that strategy was a good one. Like that gotcha, that like hiding. We're not going to get there yet, but what ended up being their plan was a good plan. Like it was, and it seems that the Black Council.
But I need clarification because maybe I didn't catch this. So the plan was to gain Rook's Rest, or the people there, the castle, whatever, which is, still militarily and strategically, that's actually a pretty good tactic, because apparently Dragonstone is it only a bay away?
Bay. It's like
right.
Close.
So I'm like, this is like the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like, you're right there, and you being so close to Dragonstone, that could be bad for the Blacks. But No, we'll get more into that. But no, I think okay.
I do think that was I think their goal,
Mm-hmm.
and this came out in like the director's cut toward the end. Their goal, like Kristen Cole and Aemon's goal, was to draw out one of the dragons. And
Right.
when I thought about that, I really said to myself, there's a reason why Rhaenys put herself out there, because she's
Mm-hmm.
been battle tested, she's been to war, she been to battle,
Mm-hmm.
like she knows that she, is expendable, whereas the queen is not expendable, her heir is not expendable, there's no one really else there besides her granddaughter that can go. And it's like, I think that what I found out in watching the editor's cut was that, yes, that was their plan. Their plan was to draw out one of the dragon riders from Dragonstone,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the whole point of Vhagar being there, was to, um I guess, that was the whole point of them being at Rook's Rest too. Yeah, of course it was a great place to capture just because it's so close. But I
Mm-hmm.
think their goal was to try to draw out an important player, and hopefully it would have been Rhaenyra, which she was trying. She was trying to get on her dragon and come over there, and
Right.
that would have been the end of it. Like, just like Jay said, in the Black Council, I'm glad you still have that up there, because that would have been exactly what Jay said. Like, what's the point? Like, if we lose you, there's nothing else. Like,
Right.
when we're looking at the bigger picture and what really happened, that would have been the case if she would have got on her dragon and came over, because they didn't know the plan. Like, the Greens literally have a plan. They're
And
not
so, and I have to say, this is why the blacks are just. It's really hard to be team black at times, because I'm like, it doesn't seem like you guys really have any thinkers,
like,
except for when Corlys Valerian walked in. I was
mhm.
so happy. I'm like, they needed, because um Rhaenys is giving us, like, she's the one who's solid, right? Feet on the ground. She's thinking outside of just burning everything down to win this
Mhm,
thing.
mhm.
And but I feel like because she's a woman, they probably were not. I think someone even said it, like, why should we be listening to you? But as soon as hubby walked into the room,
They
like,
got quiet.
everybody got quiet, head started
It
bowing
lets you
down,
know
like,
the dynamic and the power dynamic that they had, like the men versus the women have, and
absolutely.
why it tells you right there why there was always going to be a usurping. Like, they would not have stood for Rhaenyra being on the throne, because they're never going to respect her. That's what her counsel is
Hmm.
giving me,
Hmm.
that they don't respect Rhaenyra enough. Like, they do, but then they don't. And I feel like because Damon isn't there, that kind of just makes it even more
Oh
so.
yeah.
Because now, at every turn, they're like, oh, we need to do that. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so it kind of like, it's interesting to me, like
But
when the
I'm
showed
still
up.
sticking to the Black Council, because I'm still like, you guys are less than smart. How long has Damon been there? What is he doing? What is he doing?
Okay,
What is Bay
so
doing?
Damon is hallucinating.
I
He is under a
understand that.
spell. Like, he is under a spell. And like, even when he was talking to the witch, like, he had that back and forth, like he went into the kitchen area, whatever, and um following behind himself, who, with the patch, kind of like
Mhm.
symbolizing that it may have been Aemon, but it was really him. I thought that was freaky. I thought that was crazy. But oh, she looks so weird. She looks so scary right there in that picture. Oh, she looks like a ghost. Why does she look
Yeah.
so pale?
The person who played her, and
She
yeah.
looks so scary. But no, but like, I liked her character though. I will say, I liked how it was almost like she was playing with him, and I liked that. I like how she was talking to him, and when she was like, I'm an owl in human form," like, I kind of like chuckled a little bit, because it's like, she's she's playing with him, and I think he knows she's playing with him. He called her a witch. And so um I I think that Damon is kind of like the house has him, just like Aemon said, like let him stay there and go mad. He's under some kind of thing where he's kind of losing it, and he can't he it doesn't matter how much good of a fighter you are. I think he's just under something that's a little bit more powerful and a little bit more like magical. Like there's something going on with him. So
But
we
you know,
want
but
him to
I
be.
guess, and maybe you're right, it's the power. But for me, it was frustrating sometimes watching these scenes because I'm like, Damon, the willingness to which you are entertaining this woman is frustrating.
But Nina, he is under like we literally see him. He gets up, right? He's hallucinating the whole time.
Mhm.
Like, we don't know if this was a dream. We don't know if this was anything because it goes from a scene of him waking up, following himself,
Right.
hallucinating, being in a room talking to somebody who may or may not be there with him. Because as we're seeing, he's seeing things that's not there. We
Mhm.
don't even know if that conversation with the witch was a dream, if it was anything, because it goes from right there to he's literally sitting in a council meeting, not a count. Well, yeah, in a council
Yeah.
meeting, high, Strong, and the guy, the Blackwood guy, and
That we
it's
saw
like,
during season one. He was the
and
one
it's
that was trying to
right,
move Rhaenyra.
and
So,
it's like, so we don't even know, was he daydreaming that whole time? Like, how did he get there?
mhm.
He is like, I think you're like going under the assumption that he's like, allowing himself to. I don't think he's allowing himself to do anything. I literally think he is under some kind of like spell, like, and where he is like literally losing it. Like the fact that he saw me, he saw me, serving drinks when it was really someone else. But that just goes to show you, like,
But it just honestly, when I first saw him, first of all, I was like, you willingly drank whatever that woman gave you. Okay, and maybe it's I'm enjoying it, but I'm having difficulties understanding like his interactions
with her.
with
I
Al.
think that's done intentionally.
Hmm.
I think that's done because we don't know. We don't know what's real and what's not.
Hmm.
It kind of makes you feel like that whole scene. It's just like what's real and what's not.
Hmm.
Like
I almost
who?
feel like and I had posted this earlier when I finished watching it. Like it literally reminded me of of the Black Panther drinking the heart-shaped herb, right? So it's like when specifically with, oh my gosh, and I forgot, Zuri, is that her name?
Mhm.
Black Panther's sister, T'Challa's sister. Anyways, Zuri, when she drank the whatever the herb and was faced with like her
Mhm.
uncle, right? Her uncle,
Yeah.
husband,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
and she thought she was going to see somebody else. I kind of feel like maybe that's something too. Like maybe
He's
like
being
this drink,
haunted by his decisions, good
your
and bad.
decisions, your desires,
Mhm.
your. I'm waiting for him to see his first wife,
It's
but
so interesting that you think that, like, because what it seems like you're saying is like you think that like he's drinking this herb. But I honestly, I don't even think it has anything to do with the herbal whatever that she made. I think because he was hallucinating since he's first gotten there. He's been hallucinating the whole time.
well, he has, but I think she said it right. Alice told us that the bed was made out of weirwood trees,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
weirwood trees historically in Westerosi culture or whatever, like they have a history of having sort of some magic.
Some magic
So,
powers, and yeah, and
so
the
I'm like,
fact
he's
that
eating, right? And even if she gave him the drink, some people were like, I thought it was blood on her hands when she like licked her finger. I was like, what the heck am I watching? But
But I don't I still say I don't know if that was real or if that was a dream because of how it literally, like, it's like almost like when it showed him drinking it, it went right into him being in a meeting and drinking something else. And what I was thinking was at first when I was watching that scene, I was thinking like, wait, is this a dream too? Like I literally, I was like, is he still dreaming? Because in my mind, I was thinking that whole scene with her, with Alan uh, Rivers, whatever her name is,
Mhm.
I thought that was a dream, and so I was confused when it like took him from one scene to the next. It seemed like he woke up out of something, and I was thinking like, oh, is this a dream too?
Yeah, I'm not. And you know what? There's one thing that you said that I actually rewatched it, episode, whatever, when we
Mm-hmm.
first met Alice.
Mm-hmm.
I had to rewatch it and I was like, I remember you saying, do they see her? Or is it just Damon that's seeing her?
Mm.
Because I remember when he walked in, she wasn't there. So I was when I
Mm-hmm.
was watching that scene because you were like, was she even there?
Mm-hmm.
And no, she had walked in, but she didn't bend the knee. She didn't do anything. I was trying to look at the people in the background to see if they were like
If
seeing
they
her as
look at
well.
her, right,
Like
right.
looking at her direction. Like when someone walks in, don't you look to see who's, I don't know, like something there. And I didn't see that. So I was really, that was interesting to me in the books. And I keep saying, like, you guys who have read the books, I almost wish I didn't read the book because, well, no, I'm okay with it, but I feel like some people don't have the capacity to understand that the book is not it's a historical text written with a bias
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of unreliable people who were relying on rumors or the word of somebody else who was there, not them.
Mm.
So I'm like, a lot of it is not true. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But in the book, at least, the way they name her, right? So we know who this person is. And I'm not going to spoil it, but she has more. I'm interested to see how they're going to make her play this role because she has a significant role in the book.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so,
I yeah, I really wanted like I want him to snap out of it.
mhm.
I want him um I hope because we don't even get the final answer on whether or not the Blackwoods are even going to come to Rhaenyra's aid and like
Mhm.
come to her side. They're already at her side. But
Mhm.
is it me or did you kind of feel like a little like come on like calm down, Damon, when he was talking to him? Because
That's no,
he's like,
I was really, and that's what, okay. This is why I'm like, Damon, you, okay. And I'm going to, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this. I finally saw the similarities between Aemond and Damon.
mm-hmm,
And so let me just kind of put this up because this is important. But with that particular scene, with him being the way he was, I was like, I see it. And it's funny, my sister was the one who told me that Aemond and Damon are, I think the word is an anagram, where it's the same letters.
mm-hmm, yeah, it
So
is. I caught that last year. Caught that the last season.
I don't know what I was doing, but I didn't catch it other because I think I was just so like, I was just like, oh my gosh, Aemond, you are so trying to be a Damon part two. Like you are a she and Damon. You are not the
Thank
real
you,
thing.
Martha. They
You are,
are nope. They are a lot alike, and I have to.
I saw it. And because for me, I just felt like I still think I feel like Aemond is sloppy.
I don't. I feel
No,
like
no,
he
no.
is on it this season. I
No.
do. I feel like he is on it. I feel like he had a
Oh,
and I feel like he's
absolutely.
quick. I
No,
feel
no,
like
no,
he's
no,
super quick
absolutely.
because the fact that he wasn't quick to act when he saw his brother, I was like, oh, he's about to do something. I knew it when he told her, when he was telling Vhagar, like, calm down, like, don't move yet. And even Chris and Cole was like, hey, Aemon, where are you? You know, like, where are you? I was like, oh, he's quick. Like he came up with that so quick. Like, okay, I'm gonna let them fight it out, and then it's almost as if, and somebody said it, I read it somewhere, like it's like Aegon is finally seeing that like his brother really wanted to kill him
Mhm.
because the way that when he said Dracarys, I can't get it out. When he said that it Rhaenys wasn't even in the line of fire.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Or her dragon might have been entangled a little bit. with some
Right.
fear, but who you trying to get? Like
He got who he want. He got who he
right.
intended to get, and
Absolutely.
it wasn't like at least with Sir Kristen Cole,
Mhm.
when he saw the king go down, he was trying to run to his king.
Right.
Like, you would think, like, Aemond, if this is your king, you shouldn't even be focused on anything but let me go and come to my king's aid. Aemon had a plan, and he was like, I'm gonna get the last laugh, because we
Yes,
remember
like
the last
this
episode.
is what I'm getting from Aemon. I agree with everything that you said, right? But I
Mhm.
almost think that Aemon thinks he's better than he actually is. And that's what I think Daemon is. But I think Daemon is starting to see the errors of his
Errors
ways.
of his
Right.
ways.
So
Can I ask you
I'm like,
something?
Amen, because okay, so yeah, Amen, you have a great military mind. Yes, you're the most dangerous person in Westeros. Yes, you have the biggest dragon, you're a nuclear weapon. But
Mhm.
I'm like, and he didn't, when he was grabbing his brother to like install him onto the throne, he was saying, basically like we knew he wanted to be king, and he thought
Mhm.
he was better fitted for it. I know the language, I know everything. I'm the one who reads, I'm the one who, fights.
We got to talk about that too when we get finished. But go ahead.
Yeah, but my thing is that I'm like, you being a ruler isn't all about that.
Yeah. Right.
I'm like, can you, do the people like you? Do they trust you? And I'm like, you work so hard to like make sure that you look good on paper, but I'm like, amen, that's an important part, trust and likability in a lot of these things. And I'm like, you don't have that. In the same breath, I also think the similarity, in my opinion, between Aemond and Daemon that I finally saw is that the realization with Daemon is that, again, you are not as good as you thought
As
you
good as
were.
you say, and you got to take into consideration, Aemon is much younger.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to get there. Well, we know he's not, but do you think? Can I ask you this
Yeah.
question?
Mhm.
Do you think that when Kristen Cole finally got to Aegon and Aemon was there, do you, because rumors are going around that if Kristen wouldn't have showed up when he did, Aemon would have finished him off. Do you
Um,
think that is the case? If
I don't
Kristen Cole
know.
showed up when he did.
I don't know. I'm thinking a couple of things. I'm thinking it sure did look like it, right?
Yeah, right.
Um, but I don't know. Maybe this is just me being naive, but I'm like, I just feel like I don't think you would. Ultimately, I don't think he would have done it. I think it
I
looks
do.
like he would have, but I would like to believe that
I think he
you
would have.
taking your brother's life is not the same as your brother embarrassing you in a brothel. Like, let's not equate the two.
I think he would have. I think um that his goal, like you said, his goal is to, be king in this short side, just like this, in the same way that Damon's goal was, to be king. And he did a lot of, you know, trifling things in his quest, trying to seduce his niece to make her look bad, saying that
Hold on, can we talk about that though? Was that because again, I told you I watched season one with my sister recently this weekend. Did he do that on purpose? Because I think he did it
I
on
think he
purpose.
did. He did,
Initially, I didn't
definitely.
think so, but I'm like, you did that on
He
purpose.
was try he tried his best. He did whatever he could to kind of like perverse,
Right,
like, to create that atmosphere in her and to awaken that fire. Like the Sirius always said, like, they have the blood of the dragon in them. He wanted to like awaken that fire, and he did. And that and he, I think he it's hit like, I don't want to put too much on him because Rhaenyra has, to have blame too. But he awakened that fire in her. If he wouldn't have did that, she wouldn't have ever came back and did nothing with Kristen Cole. Think about it. Like he did that intentionally, and he kind of backed off.
Yeah.
But he
It's already too late. I think I knew that too. When he took off their hats when they got in, I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, people are
right.
who you are. Like, when you walk into the brothel, like,
he
watch it.
he was a trifling, like he did some trifling stuff, like even like the thing I think you mentioned it, and it may have been in a private conversation and not on this platform, but when you said even when he made that declaration, oh king for the day, about the baby dying, he wanted power, and so in that way I think him and Aemon are similar.
But see, but Mrs. The reason why, if they are similar and if they are cut from the same cloth, like we say they are, I don't think he would have done it, because I don't think Daemon would have ever, as much as Daemon would cross the line, and he would always cross back.
He didn't have a reason though. This is how I feel, and it's just my opinion, right? Mm-hmm. Daemon and Aemon, how they differ is their brothers were different.
Yeah.
Aemon, I mean, if Daemon had Aegon as a brother, he would have been cut his head off. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
I feel like that. Like, it was discussed even in this episode. I think we saw it more in this episode than in probably not in any other episode, but we saw it a lot in this episode, how vastly different Aegon is from his father. Viserys may have been weak. He may have been a lot of things, but he wasn't a fool. He was weak. He was kind of like slow to act and all that, but I don't think he was as foolish as Aegon. He wasn't his brother.
He wasn't as foolish as Aegon and his
brother. He wasn't as trifling. He wasn't like a rape, or art worder. Or an essayer. He wasn't like Aegon is a totally different animal. And it's like, I honestly, in my opinion, feel like if King Viserys, like, I don't think that would have ever been the case. I'm just going to say if Aegon was Daemon's brother and Aegon was king, like, that wouldn't have been, no, I think he would have been killed him, especially like the taunting, the like being just a.
But question, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like, first of all, I do think Viserys was a fool, just not in the way that
his
Aegon is.
Like, it was different. It's different. It's
real. Like, I think I read somewhere, and oh my gosh, what is her name? It was someone on YouTube, the Gray something, but she made a good point, and we had this discussion before, where we said there is so much that Viserys could have done to fortify Rhaenyra as his heir.
Yeah,
and she was like, he could have named her as the Hand. And I was like, mind blown. Oh my gosh, he could have.
She gave him sound advice. She did. She gave him
sound advice, but it would have been a better transition, right? When Viserys is bedridden, and you have her, Rhaenyra talking to the masses and ruling, on his behalf while he.
That would have been a really great call, but he didn't.
Right. Like, people who thought differently might be like, oh, okay, well, no, I could definitely see this woman ruling. She's doing a really good job, something. And he just didn't do that. But I don't want to do
it. He was foolish, but his son, that's just my personal opinion. I feel like, because Viserys was a lot of things, but he was an honorable man. And I don't think Aegon is an honorable man at all. Let's kind of switch to something real quick, because I said I wanted to mention this.
Mm-hmm.
That the funny part of this episode was Aegon trying to speak High Valyrian.
Oh my god! I thought
I said he was on Duolingo, because he's talking like he got Google Translate or something. Like, why? Like, Aemon is just talking in High Valyrian, just so eloquently in a low tone. He's just like, no. And I'm like, Aegon, you can't even speak High Valyrian.
But not even that. I was so mad at Aegon, because, again, going to his like foolishness, your brother knows you can't speak this. That's why he's doing that, right? He's embarrassing you in another language that they don't understand in front of you and in front of everybody. What I would have done was, I would have been like, if I were Aegon, clear the room. That's what I would have told my small council, clear the room, and then let me talk to my brother and like say whatever it is I need to say to him. Or if I'm not going to say that, I would have been like, I would have listened to what he said. And then in English or, the common tongue, I would have said, I don't know, something like, okay, then to war we go. Something like that.
Something like that.
And I'm like,
But
you're trying to, you're bringing, you, you're not bringing
yourself look even more foolish.
You can't sit with us type of stuff. And I was just really upset at him. I'm like, you're letting these people play in your face.
And again, let's go back to this. And I hate it. Sounds like I'm just like team Aemond, even though I'm Mrs. Daemon Targaryen. So please get it right. I am not on team green. I am not for Aemond, but I am. It is seeming like I am trying to like vouch for baby Daemon. But like that, he was playing a game even there though, when you think about it. Because when you say it like that, as like, I didn't look at it like that. I didn't look at it like, but it's true. He was trying to make him look kind of stupid. I didn't even think of it like that when I was watching the episode. But if looking at it that way, he was playing a game even then, because his whole, he's playing a game, the Game of Thrones. And it's like, so he's already putting doubt in the council's like eyes of like, this, he doesn't even know how to speak High Valyrian.
Right.
He's foolish. He's this, he's that. And so it's almost like, oh, wow. Dang.
And then I thought it was interesting. Now they don't no longer have Alicent in the small council meeting. So she can't even potentially like play referee between the two.
Right.
But
she was too busy being sick and, cramping.
Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, that thing cracked me up when I saw that. I just
Laris, what is his name? Laris Strong came in there talking, oh, you missed the you missed the council meeting.
But I thought they didn't ask her. That's what when in the conversation she had with Aegon, that's what she said. And I'm gonna say this, Alicent's conversation with Aegon, it really did hurt my feelings for him.
But it needed to be said.
But I'm like, it's a way that you could, I feel like a lot of them have mastered the way to make someone feel like the decisions that everyone came up with was really yours. When it's, like, I can make you feel important. Like, I felt like there was a better way for them to do that. And I think that they were not reading the room and they were not reading Aegon. And like, you see how Laris kind of played that card with Aegon being like, oh, well, we're hearing that, if you go out and fight, people are saying that your brother and your mom are going to rule. And then that's why they want you out. And he's like, okay, I'm staying. I feel like they should have played more of a role with that instead of telling him you are absolutely
like you're talking about, like Alicent should have done that.
Yeah.
I think she's not a good mother, a good enough mother, and she doesn't care enough. She's too focused on what's going on with her mind and the fact that she may have been wrong and all that type of stuff, that she's being a lot more harsh than she should have been.
Yeah.
But I still
she clearly told him in season 1, you are no son of mine.
I still believe that what she said to him needed to be said,
but not in that way.
Because we see what happened. This boy didn't know what to do. Was it you that said it? I think it was you, or it was somebody that I read somewhere. He didn't even know how to fight. He didn't know how to
manage his dragon. No, when he said Dracarys. Yeah, he just said Dracarys. And Meleys is attacking.
Rhaenys said attack. Like, he didn't even know the right words to say.
Hold on, but also, like, dragons, I thought, only understand High Valyrian. He was speaking to his dragon in English.
Well, no, they do, because remember last season when Aemond was chasing behind Luke and Vhagar started acting like whatever. Remember, Aemond was yelling at Vhagar, saying obey, and wasn't he was saying obey. He
was, but he was like also saying like English words to it. Maybe that's why I wasn't listening to him though, because you're not speaking English to understand. I don't know, but no, I just thought that there was a way. I'm like, if they knew how, and Laris Strong knew, which I'm of the opinion that Larry Strong knew where he was going. If you are the Whisperer and you know everything, you knew where he was going and you let him go. Because I feel like if like everyone else, if no one else, Larys, by way of the interaction that he had when Aegon was putting on Aegon the Conqueror's armor and all of that stuff, he knows where Aegon's head is, and he knows that Aegon wants to like prove himself. So I'm like, there is nothing in me that says Lara Strong didn't know and you let that happen. And the answer is why. And
why would you let that happen? But I mean, to be fair though, Nina, this is the king, and this is not any old, like, this is a foolish king. You got to think about that too, who has a lot of power. He's not really, he's showing us, he's already been showing us, he's not really someone that can be controlled like his dad. And so I don't feel like anybody could have talked him out of going to meet his whatever what ended up happening, which we all knew was going to happen, which everybody was trying to warn him not to go out, because this is what is going to happen. You are not ready. You do not know what you're doing. Like, you need to be, here. And he's so foolish, and it's so in his head trying to prove himself when he never did that before. Like, his brother has been trying to prove himself, trying to be like Daemon, trying to be like whatever since he was little. Aegon was off doing whatever and being a degenerate. And so it's like all of a sudden he's wanting to prove himself when he doesn't have any kind of anything. Nobody has trained him on anything. And I feel like his mom is a horrible mom, so she's not going to do anything. He doesn't really have anybody the hand isn't there. Sir Cole isn't there. Kristen Cole isn't there. Nobody is there to rein him in. And so nobody really can control him. So
you're right. But I feel like his mother was the straw that broke the camel's back, or that was
a horrible mother.
I was just like, Cersei what did Cersei do when Joffrey, and I hate comparing, but I know there's a lot of comparisons between like characters from Game of Thrones and this series as well. But I'm like, Cersei didn't let Joffrey out. He went out there and she sent somebody to bring him back. Like, I don't care, bring him back in. And I'm like,
I mean, Joffrey was a lot younger than Aegon.
Okay, fair enough. But I still think that even if Joffrey was the age of what's his name, Jaime, she wouldn't have.
Cersei is a different animal though too.
Right.
Cersei and Alicent. Cersei is fierce. Alicent is a flawed, weak individual. She's weak.
But I think Alicent is fierce too, just in a different way.
What is fierce about her?
Ooh, I think. Hold on, let me think. If I have to,
because I'm like, fierce. Where? What about her is fierce?
I don't know. I just think she can be
just a sheltered, pompous little girl to me. I just look at her as a sheltered, pompous little girl who was bitter, who was self-righteous, who felt like she was a morality police, and who felt like she felt like she was obligated to duty because she had to, because in that time women had to do what the men told them to do. And she didn't have the freedom that Rhaenyra had, and she was very bitter and jealous for that reason. And now that she has freedom because her husband is dead and all these types of things, that's why you see her acting out with Kristen Cole. That's why you see her that's why she never was a mother to her kids. Like, I don't see anything fierce about her in her movements.
I'm going to give that to you. Excuse me. I'm going to give that to you. Okay. I think fierce is probably the wrong word for her then. But I don't think Alicent is dumb.
She's not dumb. I don't think she's dumb either. But I just don't think she's fair. Like, I think that Cersei is one of those people. Like, I feel like if put Alicent in Cersei's shoes when she had to do the shame walk. Do you think that Alicent would have been able to, in her pompous, whatever, pious, whatever, like state that she's in her head, thinking that she's just so high and mighty, she wouldn't have been able to like withstand, like that's the fierceness that I'm talking about with Cersei. Cersei
Okay,
is
fair enough.
somebody who she is fierce, like she is like, you can do your worst, and I'm still going to come back and I'm going to kill all of y'all.
Right. I'm gonna do you way worse than you did me.
Right. She is fierce.
Oh yeah.
Like, and
Okay.
so
I
in
hear
that
that. I
in
hear
that aspect, she can rein in Joffrey or whatever, because she's a different type of mother.
Hold on. She couldn't reign in
Allison
Joffrey. She
isn't.
could try though.
Huh?
So she couldn't reign in Joffrey. She could try though. I want to just switch gears really quickly, and I want to talk about this particular scene because I feel like this. Hold on, let me get to it. But this particular scene reminded me of something that I feel like we've seen a theme in a lot of Game of Thrones, and then now here. And this is, I think his name is Lord Darkland. Oh, stop it. Sorry. Lord Darkland was talking about how I feel like it was almost as if he cursed Christian Cole. So
I loved it.
I loved it too. It reminded me, it was very reminiscent of, oh my goodness, when okay, sorry, you guys, hello, spoiler for Game of Thrones. If you watch Game of Thrones, or if you haven't watched Game of Thrones and you want to, you don't want to know anything, like go away for like a minute and a half. Okay. So it reminded me of when Robb Stark took the Karstark, took his head. It reminded me of that scene. And I remember Karstark, he said, take me out and you'll be cursed, or something like that. And I feel like this guy, I can't remember his words, and I was trying to find like a screenshot or something online that would harp on it. But he basically said like something similar.
Like you'll die from something similar.
Yeah.
Like you'll meet a similar end or something like
something
that.
like that. And I was like, oh, I just thought that was like really good foreshadowing that I think we probably should pay attention to. Everything is important in every dialogue. Everything is intentional. And so he was like, okay, yeah, that kind of like let me know something. And I also, another thing that was kind of reminiscent to me in Game of Thrones was, I'm like, how are you, Crispy, knocked out like Tyrion Lannister? That time Robb Stark sent 2,000 men instead of the 20,000 men to Tywin Lannister. Remember that?
Yeah.
What's his name? Tyrion was fighting in the vanguard with the village tribe, was it, or something? I can't remember. But he got knocked out because someone accidentally hit him over the head and he missed the entire like war. That kind of reminded me of Christian. I was like, you're basically out. Like they needed you. Well, I guess not really because dragons are fighting, but I'm like, you are out. So anyway,
that's something that I saw in the director's cut as well. They mentioned how in Kristen Cole's, like his point of view is he had never, up until that point, most of them had never witnessed dragons at war. So in his mind, he's so used to battle being between men. When he realized, this is what the director said in this episode, it's almost as if he realizes that when he looks up that this is not the type of war that you think it's going to be. We're not in control here. The dragons are the stars, and you don't matter in this war. You don't matter. And I think it is foreshadowing the guy that that was having his head altered. He kind of foreshadowed what may happen to him, because I think Kristen Cole is under the assumption that it's going to play a different way, and it's not. And I like that when I was looking over that director's editor's little segment at the end of the episode, when they said that, I was like, you know what, that is so true. And I think going to the last final scene, the war scene or the battle scene, when Vhagar was kind of like pushed to the ground, and it kind of like knocked Kristen Cole out. It's almost as if when he got up, he looked helpless. Like he looked like all is lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, where's that fierce, whatever over arrogant, like, a warrior that you were? Oh no, you're realizing that issue's about to get real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just thought that was so interesting. I love, let's talk about this. I love the fact that our girl, Rhaenys, she handled, even if it was just for a minute, two dragons. Like
Mm-hmm.
she was able to handle two dragons, and one of them is like the oldest and biggest dragon in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And she brought her down. Our
Oh,
girl,
absolutely. So
mhm.
I think that's actually a good. Let's go ahead and kind of, I guess, get into the war.
Yeah. Oh, just seeing that. Oh, just seeing that.
And I feel like, yeah, I'm gonna say this: seeing Meleys and Rhaenys together, it really, even though I knew what was gonna happen, I was still like, oh, she's gonna go out like a G.
Yeah.
Going out like a G.
When she was about to leave, and she was like, "This is,
Okay, I want to talk about that because
Yeah.
some people were saying that she had turned back. I've seen because maybe a situation with Corliss, so, or not. Excuse me, not well. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard also some people said that she was turning back because of. Well, this is what I think. Excuse me. Okay, a situation about Corliss. Some people said she turned back because she really didn't have anything else to lose. She lost her children, whatever.
Mhm.
I think she turned back, and I am agreeing with anyone who thinks she turned back. Probably because she also fled when she had the opportunity to kill. Excuse me, to take out Aegon and that whole bloodline. I don't think that she like digested what Daemon was saying. He basically said, oh, because of you, Lucerys is gone, because if you had gotten them when you had the chance, Luke would still be here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's why she turned around, but I think she turned around because she said, I fled one time, I'm not flying again.
When you say turn around, you mean like she offered to go?
No. I mean, when she had injured Sunfire, and I think,
yeah. Okay.
20
See,
times, Vhagar down to the ground.
mhm.
Remember, but when she left, we saw her leave, and then she turned around and she was like, and she said,
Yes. Okay. I know what you're talking about now, because
what are you
that's when I
talking
was saying, I was like, I want you to go, like go hide, like do. But I agree with that. Like, I think she knew that, like, she got to fight it out. Like, she got to thug it out. And I love that about her. I love that she went out like that. I love that, like, because when she came back, like when she turned around, that's when her and Vhagar, her and Aemond, they fought, and that's when she took Aemond, like took Vhagar. Vhagar went to the ground, like Meleys dropped Vhagar to the ground for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like at that time when that happened,
Mm-hmm.
I literally was like, okay, girl, that's it. I was like, you did enough. Go hide. Like,
yeah. So I guess the fan in me loved that she went back, but I'm like, strategically, that probably wasn't the best decision.
I wanted her to go hide so bad, but I knew it's like she had already reconciled. Like, I knew this was gonna happen. This is why that's why she put herself like up in that, like, I'm gonna go because I don't want my grandchild to go. I don't want the heir to go. I don't want the queen to go. I'm gonna go.
But wait, but why? Okay, no, okay, understood. Going to fight, right? But I'm also like, when she took Sunfire and Aegon down, or when they went down, she could have outflown Vhagar?
She could have, because I read somewhere that she would like Meleys is one of the fastest dragons. Like it's like she's known for her speed.
And
So
Vhagar, you see how it takes Vhagar so long to get up? She's slow.
yes, she's slow and she's old and she's large. I think the thing with Vhagar is her size, the fact that she does more damage, and the fact that she's so stealth. Like
Yeah.
we talked about it before, that she's so quiet. It's like she comes, she you don't know she's coming until she's there, and that's such a bad ASS like way of like portraying this dragon, this mystical dragon. I like that about Vhagar, but I really wanted, like, I knew it was gonna. I think we all kind of knew it was gonna happen,
Yeah.
especially when she was looking up and she was looking for it, and I was just like, she's gonna come. She's come. Like I just knew. I was bracing myself, and it was hard to watch, and people, we talked about this before. Like I came on, it was making me sad when I was seeing people kind of like focusing on the part of the that scene when the Meleys look back at her, and it just kind of broke my heart when people were talking about that, because I was like, oh my goodness, like I was so focused on the fact that I was just focused on the fact that of what was happening, but it's like,
But even before she went back for a second time, for a second run at Vhagar, you saw how she strapped herself in. I was like, oh, she's going. She's going.
Yeah, she's going. She's going. And you have to know, I'm sorry, but you kind of have to know this is going to be a S word mission.
Yeah.
Like, because you're going up against, you know what you're going up against. Like,
but did they know that the Greens were going to bring dragons?
They didn't know. And that was the sneak attack. That was the sneakiness of it, that they didn't know, because of course you
Well, no. I know they didn't know anything for certain, but I'm like, did they presume? I didn't hear it in the small council meeting to see. All I knew is that they have an army and they're going to get this Rook's Rest.
They were hiding. They were hiding Vhagar, because you got to think about it. They the reason why they knew what was going on is because the Ravens were sent. Nobody knew that Vhagar was there. That was going to be the sneak attack. Right. That was the planning that I was talking about in the beginning of us speaking about this, that I was talking about with the Greens and with Kristen Cole and Aemond. Like they had a plan. Like right. I don't think that Rhaenyra, anybody on her council, Rhaenys, any of them knew. I feel like if they knew that Vhagar was going to be there, that they absolutely would have brought like more than one dragon. You know what I'm saying?
And this is what, and again, I'm sorry, it's going back to my problem with the Blacks. You guys are just not thinking. You're not thinking. I feel like the Greens are not only thinking about their plan, but they're thinking about what your plan might be. And I'm just like, you guys are just, send the dragons. Okay, but what if they sent Vhagar? Did no one thought to say that?
Right.
But the reason why I think that is because I think that Vhagar, and I don't know if they knew this or not, but we know this, and I'm sure somebody told them, that Vhagar was to protect and patrol the city.
The city, that's what I was going to say. I was thinking that. And I was also thinking, Nina, think about this. It, like, we're watching this, so of course, like, the people on the show don't know this, but that would have been the most opportune time for Rhaenyra to go to King's Landing, because Vhagar is right there at what's it called? What was the name of the place? Rook's Rest or whatever. Vhagar is there. The king is there. All these people are there. Nobody is protecting King's Landing. Nobody's protecting the Iron Throne.
And so my question also is, I wonder what the next episode is going to be, because you're right. King's Landing is vulnerable right now.
Very vulnerable.
That's there is, who's Dreamfire, right? That's Helena's dragon.
That's it.
Yeah, that's only and I'm sure it's going to take them but a stone's throw to get back Vhagar back to King's Landing. But still, you are exposed. So I'm like, maybe just because we didn't see the Blacks' plan, maybe they do have a plan. I don't know. And I will say, and I will say that I want to go back to something too, because we talked about the books versus the TV series, and how some people are upset because the TV series is not, in their opinion, tracking the books exactly, which I think is not true. I think that it's not true because of what I said earlier, but I think it's also not true because there are a lot of gaps, right? So they tell us what happened, but in a different way. And again, we talked about this many times before. You have the people who were the authors, or I don't want to say the authors, but the text that was used to create Fire and Blood is based off of two people who were Team Green and Mushroom, who was like Rhaenyra's fool. Yeah. And so in the books, they paint this first dance of the dragons in the Civil War as if Vhagar and Sunfire double teamed Meleys. They make it seem like, so that's what was interesting to me, right? Because I was like, oh, okay. In the books, they say Aegon and Aemond and their dragons like double teamed Meleys. So I was waiting for that, and when I didn't see it, I was like, this is the books again. Like, so it's like, believe half of what you read and like fill in the blanks
with what you see, with what is in the show. Right? Fill in the blanks and see what happened.
Right. And so the end is making me like, the end of the Civil War, how it's written in the book, it's making me question a lot of things. And so it's making me question a lot of things. And I'm like, okay. And I won't give it away, obviously, because we don't know, so I'm not going to. But it made me question a lot of things. And I actually have a theory of how I think the Civil War ended.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when do you plan? Because we're about to be in episode 5, but I think there's only 8 episodes, so we're halfway through this thing. So when are you going to? I guess it's going to be a while because we still got other seasons to go, like to the end of the book.
Yeah, right? Because I'm like, I don't know how long. I've heard this series is going to be 4 seasons.
Okay.
I have to think about it because I have to look. I didn't take notes. I told you I just read when I was reading the book.
Right.
So I need to like look back because there are 2 major moments. Hold on. There's at least one other major moment too that's going to happen in this series. It has to.
Okay.
It has.
I would love to know, though. I would love to know your theory. And so it would be interesting. I don't know, maybe if at the end of the season, if you want to kind of hint at it a little bit, maybe not tell all of it, but like hint at what you may think, like what your theory may be, or if you want to like save it until it's like close to the end of the whole series.
I'm going to, okay, and I remember talking to you about this, where, remember when we were talking about whatever that equation was? Sorry, guys, this is going to be another spoiler, so stop listening for 2 minutes. But it was the Rhaegar plus the Stark girl. Lyanna Stark equals Jon. We knew that. So R plus L equals J. I think that was the equation. And I remember, like, you were telling me, like, and I didn't read the books. I still haven't, the Game of Thrones books. But I remember you were telling me, like, everyone knows that Rhaegar essayed Lyanna. Everyone knows that. And I remember specifically talking to you, and I was like, did they say it? Like, I know there's like a chapter of Ned Stark, so we know what he's thinking and what he sees and what he says, things like that. I'm like, everyone is talking about it as it being truth.
But we don't get firsthand knowledge because at the time of the books, Rhaegar has already been killed. So
exactly,
it's very similar to how House of Dragon is, or Fire and Blood is written, because what happened with Rhaegar
Mhm.
is all word of mouth. It's all secondhand. It's
Right.
all like what
But
people
but what I'm saying about Fire and Blood is that I think they are lying, and they're biased, and I think they're lying.
Well, of course, because like as you said,
Mhm.
it's two maesters from the green side and then a
Right.
fool from the
Mhm.
black side telling us. So it's like a jester or a fool that's telling the black side. So
Right.
it's going to seem like it's kind of like being told in a way that maybe the book is being told in a way that maybe it's not all the way true because you're getting it from a biased viewpoint for the most part.
Oh, no. I think the way the Civil War ended is a flat out lie.
Oh, that would be interesting too, because I will say, because I did read the Game of Thrones books.
Mhm.
I haven't read Fire and Blood yet, but I read all of the Game of Thrones books. And in the Game of Thrones books, um, they switched it up at the end.
Mhm.
Totally.
Oh,
You
okay.
and we talked about this
Mhm.
because they introduced a scenario, the R plus L equals J
Mhm.
scenario that wasn't in the books at all.
Okay.
So like and
But I think that's true because I feel like I heard an interview with George R. R. Martin where he was like he only allowed, I don't know if it's just true, but he greenlit the two directors, and he felt confident in having them um, direct the series when they figured out R plus L equals
L
J.
equals J. And he hasn't completed the series for us to know that, because at the last book that he wrote, he introduced a character that is seemingly supposed to be the character that Jon Snow was. Who is what was his name? Aegon. Um,
Aegon. Mm-hmm.
yeah, he introduced that person, but Jon Snow is already introduced in the book, so it couldn't be, these two people can't be the same person. So that's why I say it's like in the book, it's like I'm not sure how he was planning to, or how he may still plan to make this the case,
Mm-hmm.
that R plus L equals J, and he truly is the prince that was promised. But it's like in
Well,
the
he
book,
might as well go ahead and do whatever he wants because
in
I'm
the
like,
books, he brings a whole nother character
oh,
that meets Tyrion in Valyria,
well,
like riding through Valyria, and it's like, okay, so if this is Aegon, young Aegon, um,
who's this?
who like, so how did we make how do we do this? Because the whole point of them hiding him in the book was so because they were scared that Daenerys would kill him
Oh my
if
God,
she found out that he was alive. Huh?
I see. No, there's just so much I want to say.
Hmm.
There's so much I want to say about what I am theorizing, and not only what I'm theorizing, but I also feel like the show directors and creators are there are a lot of inconsistencies, factual inconsistencies that are happened that people have complained about, and I think that that was to kind of move things along so that it's not like super drawn out because the book is long. The book is like 700 plus pages,
Yeah.
um, and I would say like a good 600 of those are like like Aegon the Conqueror up into Civil War. But there's just so much I want to say because
Nana, don't
I,
tease us
not
with
that I
the.
actually I actually think I might make like a YouTube video with my theories, and you just don't watch it. I will literally have it as spoiled.
No, I want to know. I like
It's
that's what I'm saying. Like, I
gonna
want
be
to
based
know.
on the book. So if you don't want spoilers on the series, then read the book.
Yeah, I'm gonna read the book. I told you, like
Read the book
I've
and
been
then
putting it off, but
yeah,
I'm gonna
no,
read
read
the
the book
book.
and then come back. But and watch that video. But I'm like, there were a lot of things that happened where I was like, well, this is dumb. Like, why would you do that? And now that I seeing how the series is played out and comparing it with the books, I'm like, no, because that's not how it happened. You guys are lying. You guys are lying.
Wait. Who's lying? Are the show runners, like the show, or is the book?
No. The book. The people who wrote the book. So it's the 3 people who wrote the book. I'm like, you're lying. Because I'm like, there's just certain things that do not. When you read it, of course I accepted it as facts, but I was like, dang, you're dumb. Like, I just remember specifically, I cannot tell you about this because it just gives too much away. Yeah. But there was something that specifically happened, and I was like, dang, that's a dumb move. And I'm like, you know what? I think that it was something more than that. And I think, like, yeah, there was something more, I think. And I will talk about it more in that spoiler video that I'm probably going to start creating. But yeah, when the series is over, go back to it. We'll talk about it more.
I feel like you should wait until the series is over to post. Like you create it, like, but wait to post it until the end of this.
But you know, I kind of want to post it so then people will be like, "Oh, girl, you're right," because I know I'm right. I am in my bones. Know that I am right about this, because I felt the same conviction that I felt when I was like, no, all of Westeros is saying that Rhaegar was this like terrible person, but I'm like, he everyone says that he's great, you know, everyone that
he was handsome, he was the most handsome,
he sang songs. I'm like, no,
he didn't do this. He was the most handsome man in Westeros.
Or even with Ned, I was so uncomfortable with them saying Ned is this honorable man, but then I'm like, you bring home a child from another woman to your wife. That didn't sit right with me from the beginning. I was like, how can you are calling him the most honorable man and he comes home with this child? And I know everyone makes mistakes, but when I first was watching that season 1, I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. And so what I've learned in life and in Westeros too, if things do not make any sense, don't try to make sense out of nonsense. It didn't happen that way. And so when I'm thinking about this particular thing, I'm like, no, it didn't happen this way. It didn't happen this way. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out. I thought this episode was really great.
I did. R.I.P. Ray. We love you.
Ray.
R.I.P. Meleys. You fought a good fight.
But before we go, I do want to say, or I have a question rather.
Mm-hmm.
Is Rhaenyra now queen of the 7 kingdoms? Or I guess 6, because you know Dorne isn't part of the 7 kingdoms right now.
I will say, in my book, she is. Well, no, wait. Right now? No.
Right now. After
we don't know if Aegon is dead or unalive. I'm sorry, I keep saying that word. Okay. We don't know if he is unalive yet. Mm-hmm. I heard.
Spoiler, guys, baby. Go ahead.
I heard his dragon moaning, so that told me that his dragon wasn't fully dead.
Okay.
Or unalive. I'm sorry.
So are you saying that because the dragon, there's still life in the dragon, that there might still be life in Aegon as well?
Well, no, I'm saying it because the preview showed that he was like literally in the bed, like they brought him back and he was like looking like he was on his sick bed or something. They were trying to care him. So that told me right there that
who's on their sick bed?
Like Aegon. Like in the previews, they showed him like and I think, I don't know if it was Alicent or somebody was saying like, how is he? And they were like, he's not.
Is he gone? I thought she asked, is he gone?
Oh, I just saw somebody in the bed. I thought it was him. I'm like, oh, okay. So he's not.
Alicent asked, and I believe I didn't see that, so maybe I need to watch it again. But I thought I heard her say, "Is he gone?"
Well, I don't know, but I don't know for sure if Aegon is gone. Huh?
You want me to tell you?
No, because I want to see, because I don't think he is. Okay. Because I did get a spoiler from one of my groups that I'm a part of. Somebody did kind of spoil it and tell me whether or not
I'm so pissed off. I'm like, stop spoiling it. Like, I know you're excited.
But you know what? To be fair, somebody asked that question, like, wait a minute, is he gone? And somebody came under there.
I'm like, I'm even mad that people are answering it. Like, I'm like, wait until the next episode. Wait a week.
And my nosiness would not let me not look to see. And I read.
It's so funny. I actually was talking to my sister, and I told you I was watching it with her this past weekend, and she knows everything that's going to happen now. Because
Right.
it was like I would tell her, I'd be like, I have a theory, and then she'll be like, "What is it?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, are you going to look it up?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna look it up." So I'm like, "Okay, I don't want you to Google it. Let me just tell you what I think, or let me just tell you what's going to happen." So I literally was on the phone just telling her my theories.
You're so funny.
But yeah. But yeah, so question is Rhaenyra queen of the kingdoms?
I don't think she is
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Well, okay, hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's let me come back from that.
Okay.
I take that back because I'm team black.
Okay.
Forever and always will be team black.
Okay.
So she is my true queen. She is the true queen in my book of the six king of Westeros. She is the true queen.
Okay.
Will she be able to take the throne? I don't know. Like I said earlier.
Well, no. My question is, if Aegon, okay, I guess that's fair, because if Aegon has passed and we don't see him in episode 5, then I guess the Greens would then make Aemond would then be king, right? Okay, so then I guess the question really isn't, is Rhaenyra like queen of the kingdoms, because
right,
it would just pass to his
brother.
And I think that's also important too, because I am interested to see, again, you read the books, but that doesn't mean it's going to play out exactly
right. How
right,
read it.
Right.
Because you're getting secondhand information when you're reading the books, because somebody is telling a story that the stuff that they're saying, it did not happen directly to them. It's something that they either heard or they saw. And
right. But also, I mean, showrunners could just do what they want, not do what they want, but I mean, they could switch it up.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me about Lady Stoneheart is in the book, but she's not in the
she's not in the actual show.
Mm-hmm. So they can switch up whatever it is that they want to switch up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's something to consider.
But the difference is in the books about Lady Stoneheart,
Mm-hmm.
that's coming from Lady Stoneheart's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
She's telling the story. Nobody is telling the story about Lady Stoneheart.
Right.
So that's the difference. That's why it seemed like such a blow that they left her out.
Yeah.
With this show, it's like you're getting secondhand information. So
Mm-hmm.
it could or could not. It may or may not be true.
Mm-hmm.
So it leaves a lot up for interpretation. It leaves a lot up to where the writers can kind of like, the writers are telling us what truly happened. Like
Right.
the show is showing us what really happened, where the book is just telling us what may have happened. Like giving us like almost all the story, but not all of the story.
You're talking about Fire and Blood or Game of Thrones?
Fire and Blood. Because with Game of Thrones, it's like you're getting first person narrative. Like you're getting like the person is telling.
Let me just say this too, because so it's almost as if the way I'm understanding Fire and Blood to have been written, and I could be wrong because I also just bought the 700-page book and I got it on my Kindle. So I don't know. I know some people say like there are separate books. Like it's, again, 3 people who wrote their own stories, right? About the Dance of the Dragon stuff. But I'm like, what was his name? Maester Orwell, and then anyways, it's 2 people who were actually on the Green Council. So it's based off of their books, and also, Mushroom. So some of it could be true, right?
Yeah,
because
like it just
also feel like
it's part of the story.
My thing is that while it could have been a text that was reliable, I think they are lying.
I think if it would have been different if the book was written like the Game of Thrones series. If the book was written in, okay, this is Daemon's Daemon's story, and it goes into what Daemon was doing, what he was thinking when he took Rhaenyra to the what house when she in the first season, like that type of thing. If it went story by story, by character, like the books Game of Thrones did, and gave you the Viserys story of like what he was doing and why he did it and all that type of stuff, it would be like a different thing, because then you will be able to go like, okay, you would know play by play like what's going to happen, because that in the beginning of the show of Game of Thrones, that's literally how it was.
Mhm.
Like you can literally, like when I was seeing stuff, it's like this is the book. It was
Right.
going play by play because you're getting you already know what's going to happen with these characters because it's already been showed in the book.
Right.
Whereas I think, if I'm not mistaken, with House Song of Ice and Fire, not Ice and Fire, but Fire and Blood,
Mhm.
it's the maesters, the two maesters, and it's the
Well,
one.
it's the maester, and who is the other person? The
I don't.
maester is the person who, like, I keep thinking of Samuel Tarwell when I think of maester. So it's the person who like creates the medicine and like,
Mm-hmm.
and who is the other person? Oh my goodness. It's Orwell and I forgot his name. Oh my gosh, this is gonna bother me so much. I
Oh
can't
well, we know. I know it's the people who give
remember
you
there.
like the
Yeah,
story.
but I mean the other guy who's not a maester, he's something else. I just can't remember
Yeah,
his
they're
name.
telling the story of.
Right, yeah. I just can't remember his position, but you guys will figure it out.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'll be better prepared. Sorry guys. But
No, it's
yeah,
fine.
I enjoyed the talk.
Me
Um
too.
I think that this was a great episode. I'm super excited for the next episode on Sunday. I am interested to see if it's going to be jam packed. I don't know. Or is it going to be, are they going to slow it down because they
It
gave up?
looked a little like it was going to be a dud. We'll see. I didn't see anything that was just like, "Ooh, I can't wait."
Okay.
But we'll see.
We'll
We will
see.
see.
Still be watching. You know what? Another thing I wanted to know how the viewership was for this season. I know it, like, people talked about it opening. I think the premiere date kind of snuck up on some people, so I think like a little over 7 million people watched on the day that House of the Dragon debuted. But
Mhm.
I'm curious to see how it's done number wise. I feel like this will probably be a high streaming day because this is an important episode, obviously.
Okay.
Okay. But we will see you all back here around the same time, 5:30 on July 15th. And thank you guys for watching.
Bye.